A new day, a new hope, and a new opportunity to learn with GP. So it's a blessing from Almighty that we are still breathing and we can start a new day with our familiars and our surrounding peoples. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our institution of the professionals for webinar, and I would like to thank all of our participants who right now joined in this live session. And please stay with us till the end of our program. So, my dear lovely audience, in this session, I'm your host, Nasreen from Bangladesh. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to be associated with IGP as a global member, and really I'm proud, respected, and privileged to host this webinar. And it's my delight to welcome you all to our Institution of Global Professionals. So thank you once again for joining with us in this marvelous moment. And it's my pleasure and humble request to everyone to stay with us till the end. And you can also give a reaction to our webinar in this live session and comment in our comments. So don't forget to tag, share, and mention your friends also in your comments. So, my dear lovely audience, give a thumbs up to our Facebook official page and subscribe our YouTube channels. And you can share this live session in your timeline, Facebook groups, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So, my dear lovely participants and real knowledge, let's start our program. Let's learn together and grow together. Because we believe that power is gained by sharing knowledge, not holding it. So once again, I'm Nasreen, member in IGP, welcome you to our Institution of Global Professionals. So every day we have three sessions, and that is on 10 p.m., 10 a.m., sorry, 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. And we also provide three lifetime certificates in our three sessions. And step by step, we will follow all the program in our live session. So we have new participants also who join every day in our live session. So I'm giving a little concept about that. So, Institution of Global Professionals serves student and community resource, providing holistic social work and education to create a proficient generation. And you already know that IGP is leading our online skill development institute of process of learner worldwide. We are entrusted with international recognition also. Institute of Global Professionals is an educational institution that provides social work. We believe that it's not effective to increase one's skills just by acquiring formal education. So, we provide effective training and consultation to generate professional generation all over the world. And we organized our webinar, online and offline courses, etc. by best and trained speakers from all over the world to create a best learning platform for all of you. And you know that our mission is empower people and enhance. So, my dear lovely participants, we have already completed successfully our 589 webinar, and today I'm presenting webinar number 589, sorry, 90, and the topic is strategic leadership in education. So let's start our program with IGP's mantra that is feed your skills. So I'm reminding all of you, don't forget to tag, share, and mention your friends in your comments. Okay, before inviting our other guest speaker, Let's check our live comments. Okay, right now we have Sir Joseph Navarro, Sir Gloria Vicenta Carriaza. Okay, we have Madam Isaiah Kiangi from Kenya. We have Madam Garcia Polisa, and we have Sir Ivanis Joan, and so many active participants right now commenting in our comment box. So thank you all for joining in this session, everyone. So let's welcome our honorable speaker from Philippines, Sir Jason M. Navina. Welcome, sir, to our institution of global professionals. Good afternoon, sir.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. Am I being heard?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so before we start, I would like to thank, of course, the Institute of Global Professionals for inviting me here once again to share some insights and to give or to impart some knowledge about strategic leadership in education. Thank you very much. Of course, I would like also to thank our beloved participants who join us uh, today. I don't know if what time in your respective country, but here in the Philippines, this is already afternoon. Um, I would like to thank you for allotting your time to join us for this day's webinar of the Institute of Global Professionals. So let me share my screen, my
Sure.
presentation. Is my presentation viewable now?
So you can start, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I know that a lot of us have already familiar or we have already knowledge or a bit of familiarity about the leadership, the term leadership. It is one of the foundations of our learning that we have obtained actually from our schools, from our community, from the peers that we have, or even from the experiences that we gain from the day-to-day um, from the day-to-day experiences that we have. So, but today I just want to reiterate that being a leader doesn't mean that you are in any position in either even in a private or public institution, or maybe some of you may agree with me that being a leader cannot be seen by the volume of constituents that we have or by the positions that we have right now. So, but being a leader can be seen to our willingness to do, to our courage to believe in ourselves that we can be a good leader. It can be seen to our determination to establish good foundation, and of course to our faith that we can become a good leader through our own beautiful ways. And of course, the focus of our presentation for today is concentrated to the leadership in school, most very specifically the strategic leadership in education. You know what? Nowadays, one of the critical issues we should focus in our educational system is about the way or the type of leadership that we need to apply, or we need uh, to inculcate with the day-to-day operations of our of our institutions. Being an educator doesn't stop when we have finished to discuss all the listed topics in our curriculum, or if we already given a corresponding grades to our students, because a good educational leaders should go beyond technical matters of roles and responsibility. So we should become adaptive leaders. We should be a kind of leader that will create more good leaders in the as the future generations. So does it sound big dreams or impossible to pursue? The answer is actually no. We can do that. We can be a great leader if we can be able to commit ourselves to become one. So I know that everyone is ready for the discussion this day. Um, all right. So before we proceed to our main course this day, I just want to show you the list of the topics that we will be going to discuss this morning. So my presentation consists of the following contents: the introduction, why do I need to listen, what's in it for you, what's what is the very importance of attending this webinar, what is the strategic leadership. So we will be going to discuss the concept of strategic leadership and its importance in education. We will be going as well to discover the different leadership styles in education that will definitely help us to become a good leader in our educational system. Of course, we will also discover the different points in strategic leadership in school and conclusion. But before we completely proceed to our main agenda, I would like first to share with you my favorite life verses. This is one of my favorite life verses. It's from Proverbs 29:18, and it says, "When there is no vision, people will perish." So let us illustrate the quotation through this picture. Based on the image, we can see a blindfolded man. Now, what concepts does the blindfolded man symbolize? Symbolically, it means a lot. It can be interpreted as a lack of bias. It can be defined as a blind to the world around him, maybe justice. And lastly, it can be defined as well as unidentified future. So always take note that the people or a leader without vision cannot be able to see the future of the organization, and that is dangerous for the entire institution or for the entire organization. If leaders have no vision for the organization, it might lead to a chaotic organizational structure. So no systematic direction will be recognized, unproductive employees will be seen, and poor outcomes will be produced. So um, these are some of the negative impacts when a leader have unidentified future for the organization. Now, why this webinar is important to all of us. So why we should pay time and attention to this. Basically, I lined out six major advantages of this webinar to our participants. And if you have noticed, it is more on, I highlighted the term leader. And of course, after the webinar, you will learn the effective or the concept of the effective school leadership. You will be equipped with different effective leadership styles. Later on, we will discuss of the leadership styles that are beneficial to us as school leaders. Adopt the leadership transformation in education. Through this webinar, you will differentiate strategic leadership among other types of leadership. You will also embrace strategic leadership in managing the school, and of course, lastly, you will establish your leadership style. That is the most important one. I am hoping that after this webinar, you will be motivated to level up your leadership style in our respective institution. All right, to start our main course, let me highlight that leadership in education can play an integral role in creating a positive school culture. It can also influence student learning and achievement. That's why sometimes, the students with poor outcomes is not purely because of the student's ability to learn, but it is also based on the leadership per se that we have in our classroom in our schools. So meaning to say, the outcomes of, or the positive school culture, the outcomes of the students has a significant correlation with our leadership. So effective leadership is increasingly viewed as the key to far-reaching education success. Take note that strategic leadership is a skill that can be learned. It does not come automatically. Therefore, learning about these various aspects can help you become a better leader. I would like to highlight these statements. Strategic leadership is a skill that can be learned. It does not come automatically. So meaning to say we are not born strategic right away. We should go through process. Technicalities is important as well. So when we are young, our parents sent us to school, we gain knowledge, we obtain relevant experiences through process. So it does not come automatically. We should know a lot of things, several considerations, and sometimes we should be a technical and we should become a follower of rules and regulations. Therefore, learning about its various aspects can help us to become a better leader. So this is another vague. There, actually, being a strategic leader requires emotional intelligence. But this topic about emotional intelligence is one of the a broadened topic. This is another story, to be honest. And discussion on emotional intelligence requires more time before we completely understand about it. But let me give you its four major elements that will definitely help us become a better leader in our school. So take note of these four elements of emotional intelligence. It is by Goldman. We can see the four areas there. So we have the X and Y axis. In the x-axis, we can see self and others, and its y-axis, recognizing and regulating. For the four major elements of this emotional intelligence will be recognized if we successfully combine the different aspects. Let's say, for example, self with the proper combination of recognition will lead us to what we call self-awareness, right? Self plus regulating can give us self-control or self-possession. On the other hand, we have others and recognizing. If we successfully recognize others, then it will give us the result of effective social awareness. Then the others and regulating. So meaning to say, if we can be able to regulate the others, we can obtain a charisma or a social skills. So these four elements of emotional intelligence by Goldman summarizes the effective leadership that we should have in our educational system. All right. To give you a summary of the four elements of emotional intelligence, so self plus recognizing equals self-awareness. Others plus recognizing equals social awareness. Self plus, this is plus, regulating equals self-control. Others plus regulating equals social skills. If we cannot obtain, let's say, self-recognition or self-awareness, then we will be having a hard time to recognize others, isn't it? So one one of the four elements should be, I mean, all of the four elements should be present in order for us to apply being a good leader in our organization. Now, effective school leadership is widely seen as the key long-term educational development, like what we have mentioned a while ago, and our leaders in education may transform an average school into successful one. I would like to highlight it again. Um, Educational leaders may transform an average school into a successful one with the right leadership strategy. But the big question is that how are we going to do that? So we have different leadership styles to be discussed later. And prior to that, let us first discover how important the strategic leadership in education. So first, we have um, strategic leadership is important because it helps streamline processes, boost strategic productivity, and promote innovation. So as we can see, having this kind of leadership means a lot to an educational system. Under this leadership, employees can be productive, independent, and push new ideas. It is not time. It is time for all of us to express our ideas, okay, from bottom to up, and not only from the up and bottom approach. It is not applicable this time. It encourages employees and helps them reach their strategic goals. Strategic leadership is important because by means of through the help of our strategic leaders, it helps us integrate the vision, creativity, and innovations necessary for long-term success. And these leaders can drive strong performance expectations. So these are the importance of strategic leadership in education. Now, this is the big question that I am mentioning a while ago. What are the effective leadership styles in education that will prepare you or will prepare us to lead for impact? So we need a long-term impact. We want a sustainability in our education. Short-term is not enough. So we need to see our students as the future effective leaders of our respected countries. So now, what are those effective leadership styles? Let me share to you the first one. So I have here the instructional leadership. So this coaching style of leadership concentrates on student learning outcomes by improving teaching quality. So according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, improving school leadership suggests that effective school management generally comes from engagement in instructional leadership. There's a growing body of evidences which shows that schools with instructional leadership outperform others. Okay, this coaching style of leadership again concentrates on the study on the student learning outcomes. Here in the Philippines, we have what we call outcomes-based education, wherein we are after the outcomes of the student, and we are not satisfied by merely a graded recitation or giving an examination or a quizzes, but we are more particularly assessing the learning of students through their outcomes. So this is more on instructional leadership. Okay, to realize this goal, school leaders adopt the responsibility for the professional development of teachers. Now, instructional leadership involves the practice of four major processes. We have planning, evaluation, coordination, improvement of teaching and learning. So, as as the instructional leader, um, the planning process is not just enough because we need to evaluate the outcomes of the students based on the plan that we have. And once that we evaluated the outcomes or the outputs of the students, and we see that there are things needs to develop, then the continuous improvement occur. So we need to recognize the continuous improvement on our teaching and learning. So I do believe that a lot of us might, or more, all of us might agree with me that that's why we are here attending the webinars being provided by IGP is because we need continuous improvement or continuous education that we need to impart in our teaching and learning. Now, the second one is the transformational leadership. Transformational leaders may affect outcomes by defining high performance standards, developing individuals via individual assistance, cultivating productive relationships, and providing instructional support. According to the researcher Bernard Bass, the four attributes of transformational leadership are defined as idealized influence, inspirational motivation, intellectual stimulation, and individualized considerations. Transformational leaders instill trust. Okay, there are still trust, okay, admiration, loyalty, and respect, which inspires teachers, motivation, morale, and performance. So a lot of educators tend not to do or perform their functions because of this kind of sort of motivation. Once the teachers feel that the administrator or the leaders have trust, respect with the teachers, then it will be resulted to a high motivation, high morale, and effective performance of our teachers. Now, transformational leaders influence exerted the generating of feelings. So using a charisma, okay, so there is a term charisma in transformational leadership, compassion, and emotional intelligence. Transformational leaders are being able to monitor and manage not only their own emotions but those of others as well. So if you still remember our four elements of emotional intelligence, these are very important that we should obtain these four elements in order for us to transform our educational leader from average to, I might say, outstanding, or um, a very well performing universities or schools. Now, transformational leadership gives the ability to energize their teams, okay, and drive successes. There are studies have shown that this type of leadership has a direct impact on teachers' performance, with teachers willingly taking steps to improve their classroom practice. So, like I have mentioned a while ago, transformational leadership provides motivation to our teachers. And by means of that, then it will directly impacted our the performance of our educators. And we all knew that once that the teachers or the educators are motivated, then it will be reflected to the performance of our students. And we can achieve our desired outcomes for our students. Now, in connection to transformational leadership, I would like to highlight these technical challenges and adaptive challenges. So, this type of leadership, the transformational one, should not only focus on the technical challenges, but they also the transformational leaders also pay attention to the adaptive challenges. So what is the difference between the two, between the technical and the adaptive challenges? Please take note that technical challenges focus on the term technical, so meaning to say we have rules, regulations, processes, while the adaptive challenges is more on adaptive in nature. It based on the case to case basis, based on the scenario. And when we say technical challenges, this approach has a problem as an external issue that needs to be solved. So the technical leaders or the leaders using technical leadership or focus on technical challenges sees problems as an external issue that needs to be solved. While the adaptive leader or the leader uh, using adaptive challenges as an approaches in a problem as subjective skills or traits that can be developed or cultivated. So this is a type of positive mindsetting in addressing challenges. Technical challenges requires a specialized and methodological set of knowledge and practical skills. So these are the skills that we obtain procedural or steps by steps procedure. while on adaptive challenges, it requires the cultivation as character traits which are fundamental human skills. It is necessary for our students to see, for us to see our students um, developing their own outcomes or learnings based on the characters, based on the human skills that they have, or allowing them to see the positive side of the negative situation. Another differences, technical challenges uh, in terms of intervention is specialized knowledge that solves a problem. So meaning to say, the leader, when they are solving problem, it is more on based on the guidelines or based on the process, while adaptive challenges solves problems by mobilizing the character traits in order for them to overcome the challenges. When we say technical challenge, it is the domain of management, while the adaptive challenges are the domain of leadership. And this is what we want to pursue, the adaptive challenges. I am not saying that technical challenges are not important in leadership. They are both important, but we should consider, of course, the adaptive challenges as part of our leadership skills because we are not the boss. Remember, we are the leaders. All right. Take note that a transformational leadership improves student outcomes and lasting progress across the school systems. Okay, moving forward, let's proceed to constructivist leadership. This type of leadership is about facilitating the learning process rather than directing it. The constructivist method is based on the idea that learners, not teachers, regulate their own learning. Nowadays, educational system improves its methodology. Um, we are not satisfied by giving instructions to our students. We are ourselves, so we are see ourselves as the facilitator of learning. Okay, and that is an example of being a constructivist leadership. All right, instruction and curriculum design under their leadership encourages the sharing of big ideas and challenging others' perspectives. So using this kind of leadership, the educators should allow our students to share their ideas and to let them experience the challenging world and give their perspective out of it. All right. So the classroom is seen as a place where inquiry and co-construction dominates. So in this kind of leadership in education, um, it allows our students to ask questions, to share their brilliant ideas, to share their knowledge pertaining to the given topics. And we as an educators, we should encourage them to share, and we should process their ideas to lead them to more um, effective and biggest ideas, okay, from the ideas of our students. All right. Another constructivist leadership is about immersing teachers in culture and enabling them to take risks. It's not about dictating to teachers on how to deliver instructions. It's about educating teachers that we are all learners. So this time, let's see the perception of constructivist leadership as the administrator of our institution, giving instructions to our educators is not actually applicable in this time because um, we should allow our teachers, okay, to learn through their experience by enabling them to take risks. We are not getting any younger to dictate, okay, to teachers on how to deliver instructions. We actually knew how to do that, but the thing that we need to imply or we need to apply as constructivist leaders is to enable them to take risks and allowing them to experience the situation and allow them to learn from the experience that they gain from the scenario. The same is true with the students. As an educator, let our student take risks. Let a student let us expose our students to the scenario and let them discuss or let them show to us the experiences that they've gained through the exposure in the real-time scenario or the pressing issues that we have in our respective countries. Servant leadership is another one. Okay, this participative leadership approach puts the ego aside and considers the need of others rather than self-interest. I do not know if we are all familiar with what we call um, leadership by example. So according to the theory of this leadership, a servant leadership, a great leader must first serve others. And this basic truth is key to his or her greatness. True leadership arises from people whose first purpose is a desire to help others. And in the end of the educators, I do believe that this kind of leadership normally exists to us because we are here teaching our students because we this kind of leadership is actually associated with us. I don't know if a lot of or I don't know if we are all agree with the statement, but being a servant leader fulfill us being an educator. Now, the main highlight is the strategic leadership in education. And this is based on a long-range planning. That's why, like what I have mentioned a while ago in the earlier part of the presentation, that strategic leadership is not doesn't come automatically because it is based on a long-range planning. Through analysis, evaluation, monitoring, strategic leaders assess current schools' performance and take the necessary steps to improve future results. Now, as an educator, we should be strategic in assessing the future of our students. So, what the future of our students to be after they graduated in a 4 or 5 or 6 years in college or in high school or senior high school. So we should be strategic in that way. Now, strategic leaders not only define the direction of the school by having an organizational vision, but they also establish frameworks, implement interventions, assign resources, and manage mechanisms for changes to occur. So, strategic leaders are um, the one who will take the plan into reality. All right. So strategic leaders, let me reiterate that strategic leaders establish frameworks. So we have planning, implement it or implement the intervention if there is a problem in the pre-identified plan, then we should we should implement the interventions strategically for us to see the positive result in long run in long period of time. Assign resources strategically, meaning to say we should be effective and efficient in generating and allocating resources and the proper management of different mechanisms for change. This is actually a big challenge to us to become the strategic leaders in our um, in the educational sector because we have to accept that we should go beyond the traditional culture. All right. So study shows that using strategy as a tool to manage educational organization is at the heart of developing successful schools in the long term. Aligning organizational structures, processes, culture, and people behind the strategic focus is critical to this success. Um, Let me remind you that in business practices, we have plan A, plan B. Normally, this is the common things that we do. If we fail to execute plan A, then we should have plan B. But in strategic leadership, we should have not only plan A and plan B. We should have multiple options so that if one cannot be successfully implemented, then we still have a lot of options, or we still have a lot of plans or alternatives to be implemented, so we could see the success of the organization in long and in sustainable manner. All right, so we have different points on strategic leadership in education. I hope that everyone is still with me. We have points on strategic leadership in education. Number one is outstanding leaders must have a vision for their organization. If you still remember the earlier part of the presentation, I show you the image of the blindfolded man because it symbolizes that we as a leader should not be blindfolded. We should have vision for our organization. And remember the quotation or the Bible verse, uh, people without vision will perish. The same is true with the organization. Practically, the organization having a leader with no vision is in danger. Okay, a school's vision should be communicated. Okay, once the school leaders or the strategic leaders should have a vision, then it should be communicated to our constituents. The strategic leaders set the direction of the school and challenge and question. They are not satisfied with the present. So this is the reality when we are when we are integrating being a strategic leader in our system. Okay, we as an educator should not be satisfied with the present. That's why we are always seeking for the continuous improvement. We are always seeking for um, the webinars, for the trainings, for the continuous development, because we are not satisfied with the present. We are always aiming for the betterment that we can be reflected to the output of our students. Strategic leaders translate strategy into action, and they have the creative ability to come up with with ideas. Sorry, strategic leaders have a vision of the reform system and how to achieve it. This is big word, the reform system, because like I have mentioned earlier, strategic leaders requires um, the transformation. So we need to go beyond the traditional culture. So we have organizational culture, and if we tend to implement strategic leadership, then we will revisit the organizational culture in order for us to see or to visualize the future of the organization. Then strategic leaders avoid controversy. Okay, this is no place controversy, no place in strategic leadership. Strategic leaders develop capabilities for the next generation of leaders. Remember, effective leaders should create effective leaders than us. Okay, so these are the points on strategic leadership in education. How about the main characteristics of strategic leadership in education? So this is according to the study conducted by Carvalho, Cabral, Bendasca, and Alves last 2021. So according to the result of their study, the main characteristics of strategic leadership in education consist of the following. So we have create a vision and set a direction. By the way, this is just the summary of what I have presented to you. To create a vision and set a direction, translate strategy into action, influence and develop staff to deliver the strategy, balance. By the way, when we say influence and influence, it is in good manner. We should motivate our staff. We should give them reward, benefits, incentives for the very good job. And aside from that, we also have to see that our staff, our employees are developing, okay, by means of the continuous learning and development. So balance the strategic and the operational, determine effective intervention points. So it pertains to what, how, when, what to do, and what to give up. Like I would like to highlight the term what to give up, because like what we have mentioned again and again, doing strategic leadership in education requires revisiting our old culture, and if it needs to give up, then we should do that. Then develop strategic capabilities and define measures of success. So these are the main characteristics of strategic leadership in education. All right. So lastly, I think this is the last slide that I have in my presentation. Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. So always remember that when we become a leader, don't never forget our constituents, because the true meaning of being a leader is when we get our constituents to become successful as well, like us. So effective leaders create effective leaders. That's all, and thank you for IGP once again for inviting me to share my insights about strategic leadership in education.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sharing your valuable presentation to our participants, sir. So, sir, we will come back with you for our in our next session, that is Q&A after the quiz competition session. So, sir, please stay with us till the end, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, dear participants, get ready for our next session, that is quiz competition, and that is short video will start it. So, don't forget to tag, share, and mention your friends in the comments. Welcome everyone to our quiz session, and right now we have 14 participants who have already joined in this quiz session. So dear participants, you can see the link in our comment box, and also we can browse Chrome and go to www.slido.com, and today's code is quiz code is IGP. And you can also scan QR code that is flashed on your screen, and that gives you fast process to join in this session. So give your full name because it will print in the certificates. And today we will Provide 10 certificates to our top 20 winners. We have 26 participants right now joining us. Thank you all for joining in this session. So we have right now 34 participants and we will start our quiz competition within a few minutes. So let's start. So the first question is strategic objective 3 is for develop education, leadership and teacher capacity and capability in true ICT. So it's a true false. We have to choose one option, true or false. The time is up and let's see the correct answer. Correct answer is option number one, true, and 94% of all participants choose option one. So congratulations, those answer correct. Right now, in this round, we have Sonam Yangshin plays first position in our leaderboard, following them Sherilyn Kamawaguchi, following them Rosie Yourselves. We have Emily and Figu and Gemma Benmore. So congratulations to our winners. Moving to next question. What is the knowledge indicator for strategic leadership factors in KM process? Top management, KM strategy, change management, or top management trust, KM strategy. Right answer is option number one, top management, KM strategy, and change management. And 73% of our participants answer correctly. In this round, we have Ma'am Geraldine Kalahamaguchi plays first position in our leaderboard, following Ma'am Emily and Viviu, following Ma'am Ramila T. and Ayan. We have Ma'am Gemma Benduada and Sir Alex Xavier Alvarez. So congratulations to our winners again. Next question. The ESSP calls for three strategic goals to be addressed for education to fulfill its potential in the development of beyond. So we have to choose one option between these two to expand access to education at all the levels or training to that level. Right answer is option number one, to expand access to education at all levels. 78% of our all participants answered. We have Namrunda Yanoyan, this first position in this round. Okay. Following them Emily and Fayu, following Sir Alex Javier Alvarez, following them Emily Ekataba, and then Jack. So right, let's see the next question. Establishment of the REB ICT education department is blank of ICT education. So we need to put one option in the blank. Strengths or challenges? Strengths or challenges? Okay, the time is up. So the right answer is option number one, and 67% of the participants choose the correct answer. Again, we have number T and Noyan is first position in our leaderboard in this round, right? Let's see the next question, question number five. The focus in formal education is ensuring only primary and secondary education educators use ICTs or using ICTs as a tool to improve quality of education in all levels. So the correct answer is option number one, and it's only 16% of our participants answered. In this round, we have Monica Jalabi, this first position in the leader. Okay, let's see the next question. The vision for ICT in education is build capacity of all those involved in providing education or maintain new categories of learners. So the time is up. Right answer is option number two, and only 3% of our participants answered. Again, we have Namika Jindal this first position in this round also. Moving to next question. Which the crime was overturned by the Supreme Court decision in Brown v. Board of Education. So is this separate but equal or equal protection of? So the crime is the right answer is option number one, and the answer is separate but equal, and 44% of our participants choose this option. We have Manolina Tinoyan is first position in this round, following Alex Xavier Alvarez, following them Emily M. Fiu, following Maria Facunda, and then Nika Jenna. So congratulations to all of our participants. Let's see the next question, question number 8. It's on true false. Using ICTs to support the efforts to different stakeholders in monitoring the performance of education process. So it is true or false. Okay, the right answer is option number one, true, and 100% of our participants answered correctly. So now we have Nanronida T. Inayon leading first position in this round also. Bowling star Alex Javier Alvarez, bowling have Emily and Review, then we have Daniel Fakuma and Magnika Jenna. Sorry. So we're moving to next question. Question number 5. What HR strategy activity might be triggered by social changes certified in an environmental scale. So, survey of employees containing experiences of establishment of employee self-service centers. So the correct answer is option number one, and 63% of our participants answered correctly. We have Manila T. and Ryan still leading on first position in the leaderboard. So we are moving to our last question. Question number 10. Brown v. Board of Education ends segregation in schools or freedom of speech in schools. Correct answer is option number one. Ends segregation in schools, and 62% of our participants answer correctly. So let's see our leaderboard. Okay, congratulations, ma'am. Rodila Nayan. She is in first position in our leaderboard. Following Ma'am Emily and Bifumu, placed second. Following Ma'am Leah Fatima, placed third. Ma'am Nika Janavia, placed fourth. Ma'am Gemaline Rivera, placed fifth. Let's see the next name. I'm Kiangi Isaya, placed sixth. Sir Ricky R. Kalima, placed seventh. So Alex Javier Alvarez placed 8, and Charlene Calhoun-Abuchi placed 9, and Ma'am Charlie and Infante placed. So congratulations to our top 10 winners, and you will get your winner certificates from our Facebook official page after the program. Okay, so don't miss it, comment it. So, dear lovely participants, get ready for our next session, that is QA with our wonderful speakers. Please get ready with your question to ask in our comments. And today we will provide our international webinar code. So please stay till the end of our program, because we will announce in the certification process. Okay, after this short video, we will start our QA. And don't forget to tag, share, and mention your friends in our comments. Hello, sir. Welcome to our QA session. So, my dear lovely participants, dear real knowledge seeker, put your question in our comment box, and our speaker is ready to answer. dear participants, please write down your question in our comment box and please address our speakers. If you have any query or question, keep in our comment box. We are still waiting. So I have a question. So then we'll pick our question from participants that can we learn or practice the leadership from our primary school or primary learning level? Is there any chance?
Okay, ma'am, thank you very much for your question. Since our participants, I think, have no questions in mind. Actually, a kind of leadership that we acquire, or I personally acquired during my primary school, actually, it is not so much advanced, but the school is actually preparing us to become leader by simply providing us group activities, sometimes extracurricular activities. This is a kind of leadership um, trained me personally to handle different scenarios, most particularly related to academics and extracurricular activities. So this is a type of leadership that we may use. Actually, we can use up to now because this is served as the foundation of our leadership skills that we have. So that the learning that we obtain from our primary schools in terms of leadership is actually useful up to now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I think our participants is pleased with your presentation, so they have no query. So thank you, sir, once again for coming in IGP's platform and sharing your knowledge with our participants. So, do you want to share last words for our participants, those still watching?
Okay, so again, thank you very much for our beloved participants for our 590th sessions of IGP. Imagine the number of or the volume of webinars they are providing us. So it means a lot to us who are seeker of continuous learning. Again, I would like to congratulate everyone for taking this kind of initiative since it seems to be very helpful to all of us to seek a continuous learning that we will apply for our daily lives, for our work, for our duty and responsibility. Again, thank you very much for Institute of Global Professionals for giving me slot to impart knowledge to the area that I am comfortable to share with.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank
Thank
you
you
once
very much.
again. And we hope that we'll have you again in our coming webinar. Thank you, sir. So, my dear lovely participants, now I will share with you our certification process. Okay, so today's program name is Strategic Leadership in Education, and the code is IGP 1580. Let me tell you once again. The code is IGP 1580. And without this code, you can't get your certificate. And with code, you can claim your certificates anytime. So you can also visit our website. Our website address is www.eduigp.com. So please collect your certificates and don't forget to celebrate with IGP. So thank you once again for joining in this live session and your participation. Really, it's encourage us to give the best service to all of you. I'm inviting our participants to our next session in the evening, so don't miss it. And also, we will post our quiz certificates to our Facebook official page, so don't forget to collect also your certificates. Thank you again, and stay safe, stay healthy. I'm Astrid signing off right now. Have a good day to all of you. Thank you.